Hey guys, Charl here from worshipguitarskills.com, back again with another video. Now, one of the most common type of comments that we get on our YouTube channel is always about what do I use for my tone? What pedals do I use? What amps do I use? All those kind of things. Well, for I would say 98% of the videos on this channel, everything was 100% from a Kemper Profiler. It's a piece of gear that you're most likely familiar with, but I bought this a couple years ago, 2 or so years ago, and since then I've literally sold all of my pedals. I still have my amps, but they're in my garage and they're getting a ton of dust, and I probably need to do something about that. But the Kemper has just been so amazing for me and so useful and versatile and robust and all those kind of things. So I figured I'll do a quick video to tell you 5 of the main reasons that I'm using the Kemper and that I don't think I'll ever use anything else. Now, of course, as technology improves in future, you know, if something better comes along, I'll definitely check it out. But for now and for the foreseeable future, I'm totally happy with the Kemper. Now, in the beginning of this video, you kind of heard me noodle around on the guitar a little bit, just to get a sense of the types of tones that you can produce on the Kemper. Now, the thing as a worship guitarist, it's really essential that you have access to a variety of tones. Sometimes you need like a big ambient type of thing. Other times you need like a full-on drive. Sometimes you need like a soloing part. Sometimes you need some kind of an octave thing. You just need to have the versatility in order to bring the tone to the table that you need at that particular point in time. So the Kemper really does all of that for me. And also, if your tone works, if you like the sound that's coming out of your guitar, it's going to have a positive effect on your performance. The thing is, so many guitarists, once they start playing live and they've got a valve amp, which is typically quite loud, and some drive pedals and whatnot, if you're not careful with that kind of sound, it can just very quickly become a noise, right? And therefore they are kind of scared and a little bit fearful that when you're in a worship setting, that's a bit more of a tender musical scenario than what you would if you play a kind of a 3-piece blues rock trio in a club or something. They are very careful to not make any mistakes because it's not going to sound good in that regard, and therefore it affects the way that they play. So when you can set up your tone in such a way that you know how the guitar is going to respond when you dig in, what's going to come out on the other side, then it's going to have, like I said, a positive effect on your performance, and it's really going to help you be in a moment to focus more on your playing and what's going on around you, rather than kind of fighting with your gear to try and get the tones that you need so you can, you know, just do your job as a worship guitar player. So the first thing that I like about the Kemper is the convenience element. Now, in the past, when I went to church, I had to carry my valve amp, I had a big pedal board, a lot of complicated connections and power supplies, and it was quite heavy and it took a little bit of time to set up. Now, what I've got is I've got my Kemper, I just put it in the bag. The Kemper comes with a super cool Profiler remote that goes in its own bag, which I've basically fitted on top of a Metro 24 pedal train pedal board. And then I've got one of the Dunlop mini volume pedals, which I use as an expression pedal. And I'll tell you more about some of the deeper things that we can do with all of this. But that's what's super cool, very convenient. I just put that stuff in my car. In one trip, everything is on stage and I can get set up in less than 5 minutes. The other kind of convenience I really like about it is all of the outputs that you have available in the studio. You've got SP diff, so you get a really great digital signal as you go straight into your sound card. So that kind of just gives you a better tone, in my opinion, because now you don't have to do the analog to digital conversions. It's all happening for you in the Kemper. You can record your effects on a separate channel. You've got stereo outputs, so you can record an unprocessed output that you want to maybe go back and reamp at a future date or whatever the case will be. So it's super, super convenient. And talking about convenience, that floorboard, the Profiler remote is amazing because not only can you switch between your patches using your feet, but you can, it basically acts as if it's a pedal board. Like if I have a little bit of a drive sound on one of my tones, I can switch it on and off. If I want to tap my delays, I can do that. If I want to add my delays or reverbs on or off, I can do that. Whatever I want to switch on or off, I can do. And the cool thing about that, it's all programmable. I literally just hold on to my drive button and I step on the corresponding pedal that I want to trigger that, and then it just makes that connection. So it's very convenient in the terms of setting it up and being able to play and without having to worry about a complicated setup. Now, the second thing that I really like about the Kemper is the versatility. You know, the fact that I can buy any kind of an amp profile from amazing profilers, you know, that have access to things like Dumbles and old Voxes and Marshalls and matchless amps and Voxes, and you just call whatever amp you want. I've probably got those profiles and I've only paid a couple of dollars for those. So it's super useful to be able to have this wide range of amplifiers. You know, this is the kind of thing that you would have dreamed of, you know, when you were a kid, to be able to have all of these amps at your disposal. But if I literally had to buy all of the amps that I've got profiles for, it would not surprise me if it's more than $1 million worth of amps. And I've only paid a couple of $100 to get all of those super cool profiles. So that is very helpful, having access to that wide range of amps. Now, on top of that, we also have effects, and the quality of these effects have just gotten better and better over time with each software and firmware update. And you know, you've got compressions, drives, all the kind of modulated effects you want, amazing Strymon quality reverbs and Strymon quality delays with all of the programming that you can think of when it comes to that. So when you look at the versatility that you get when you can buy patches and when you can just really easily dial in a sound, that is amazing. And that kind of brings me to the third thing that I really like about it, which is the ease of use. I've always been a fan of some very tactile setups. I'd like to take a volume control and just turn it left or right, and just being able to touch something and get that going. So you've got all of those things on the Kemper Profiler, very similar to what you would expect with an amp or even with a pedal. And the other thing that I don't really like about certain digital effects units is they've got all these deep menus and just way too many settings, and it starts feeling like you are operating some crazy device, and it kind of loses that connection that we as guitar players have when it comes to working with pedal boards and pedals and amps. It's you just take a control and you just go ahead and turn it the way you want. So it's got all of those controls, very simple, and you don't have to go into any of these deep editing windows or even needing something that you on your computer to actually have to edit that stuff. That for me is actually a very big bonus. The next thing I love about it is how robust and consistent it is. You know, this is obviously a German built device, and you know, the Germans, if you just look at the kind of cars they make, you know, it's the best type of cars in the world. They are all about construction and making high quality devices. Unfortunately, one day in church, my Kemper fell over from a little bar stool, and I thought it's going to be broken or whatever, but it's built like a tank, so I was just able to put it back on the little chair and carry on with the service. So obviously I don't recommend that. My heart stopped there for a little bit. And the thing is, it's robust, so it's not a super delicate piece of equipment. The other thing is, if you play in different venues, obviously your amps, and if you've got valve amps, works with the electricity that's available in that particular venue. And sometimes the electricity isn't always that consistent, which is going to affect the way your amp sounds, all right? Or maybe your amp only responds at a certain kind of volume and you're not always able to play at that volume, or the room is different. You know, those are all things that's going to affect your sound, even if you've got your favorite amp and your favorite pedal board right there. Again, that's the thing about the Kemper that's super cool, is no matter where I play, my sound is going to sound like my sound, because it's not dependent on the room. I'm not reliant on the kind of power or electricity I'm going to, you know, kind of feed my amp. It's just very consistent. So that's another great reason that I would definitely recommend the Kemper. And then finally, I know that the Kemper is not a cheap piece of gear, but honestly, the value for money that you get there is really amazing. If you were to go and buy a really, or let's even say a decent amp with some decent pedals, you are going to spend about the same money than what you would just buying a Kemper right out of the gate. I mean, just looking at an amp, you can easily spend from $500 right up to $5,000 on an amp, and then you haven't even bought any pedals or anything like that. Or talking about pedals, if you wanted to buy, for example, the 3 Strymons, the Mobius, the Big Sky, and the Timeline, they're going for just under $500 a pedal. That equals the same amount that you would spend on a Kemper Profiler, right? So in that regard, if you do that price comparison to what it would cost if you had to buy an amp and pedals, you get all of that and way more versatility inside a Kemper Profiler, which I think is a great way to spend money. And guys, something else, I know most guitarists suffer from GAS, which is gear acquisition syndrome. And it's always kind of like, let me buy this pedal, let me buy that amp, let me check this out. And I know even for married guys, it has been known to cause some marital issues, right? When I bought my Kemper, I literally stopped buying pedals. I haven't bought any pedals or any guitar gear because I've literally got everything I need right there in that one Kemper Profiler unit. So that's why it's also super value for money. And then if you look at the frequent software updates that they release, you know, the hardware itself hasn't changed much in a couple of years, but there's been a lot of frequent software updates that almost makes it like you're buying a new device. I remember when they brought out, I think it was in 5.1, when they brought out the new delays, and kind of you were able to get all of these Strymon quality delays and just some amazing stuff on the delays. It was like you got a whole new device. They've since upgraded the reverbs. There's just so many things that they bring out, and they don't actually charge for that. You can just update your software and it's like you're getting a new piece of kit. So there you go. There are my 5 reasons for why I'm using a Kemper Profiler. And if you want to learn more about that, you can just check out the link in the description. I'll do some more deep dive videos in that, in how I set up my delays, my ambient tones, and kind of just do my general programming for playing on Sundays. But if you want to, you can also just go ahead and buy so many pre-made patches for songs from some amazing companies out there. And one of my favorite places to buy my Kemper Profiles is from Tone Junkie. So you can definitely go and check out the Tone Junkie website. They've got some amazing Kemper Profiles and patches for sale, which you can go and grab should you invest in a Kemper in the future. All right, guys. Hopefully this has been helpful and kind of given you an insight around my tone and answered all of the questions as to what pedals I'm using. Well, the only pedal I'm using is the Profiler remote to control the Kemper Profiler. All right, guys, that's it for today, and I look forward to seeing you in the next videos. Cheers.